appellate courts, also known as the Court of Appeal, are the part of the Nigerian judicial system that is responsible for hearing and reviewing appeals from legal cases that have already been heard in a trial level, in the trial level or other lower courts. Persons or entities such as corporations that experience an unsuccessful outcome in a trial level or other lower courts may file an appeal with an appellate court to have the decision reviewed. If the appeal has merit, the lower ruling may be reversed. This is what has played out in the 2023 elections, where many great politicians resorted to the Nigerian Appeal Court to have their cases reviewed, initially tried by the Court of First Instance. The case in point is a latest judgment delivered by the Appellate Court in a unanimous decision by a 3-member panel of justices who said that we are not satisfied that Gabriel Soswan won the senatorial election that was held in Benue Northeast on February 25. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja on Wednesday sacked the former governor of Benue State, Gabriel Soswan, from the Senate. It faulted the judgment of the Benue State National Assembly Election Petitions Tribunal, which returned Soswan of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the Senate after it nullified the election victory of Emmanuel Udende of the All Progressives Congress, APC. Now, how does the appeal court work? And what do you make of the recent appeal court judgment on election matters in Nigeria? This is our focus on Nigeria today. I am Ikaria Clinton. You're welcome. Now, joining me tonight to shed more light on the recent appeal court judgment is a legal practitioner, Dr. Sijuade Kayode. You're welcome to Nigeria today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now we'll start with the Court of Appeal judgment on Soswan's case. Now I just want to get your perception. How do you perceive the judgment that was handed down today?
Well, it is common knowledge that when there's a case, a party will win, a party will lose. And when the party loses and is still aggrieved, you have the right, by our law, by the Constitution, to appeal to a higher court, as it were. So, in the case of Senator Soswan, the Benue State senatorial case, it was reversed by the Court of Appeal, the decision of the tribunal, based on myriad of reasons, but basically misapplication of evidence. Of course, the case is new. We are going to, see more of the facts when we lay hands on the judgment. But that's what I can say for now on that.
Now, still on that case, the case of the Benue State, between the Emmanuel Udende and Soswan. Now, I was wondering, how does it work, really, that at the tribunal, someone tries to prove his case beyond every reasonable doubt, that there was a case of irregularities, there was overvoting, and all of that. And after proving in the tribunal, and eventually goes to the appeal court, and it's reversed, what could have actually gone wrong, from your own legal perspective?
Well, you see, there are a lot of things that come into play when the courts hear cases. First is the law, first of all, that allows you to bring that case to the court in the first place. There are rules that you must comply with for you to bring that case. Now, when you bring the case, you present your facts. Your facts must be cogent, credible, and strong enough to convince the justices that you have, a just case, or it supports what you want the court to do for you. Then you must lead evidence cogent, credible evidence to support those facts you have presented before the court, to make them give you the reliefs you want before them. And there's a threshold to which you must get to for them to grant your reliefs. This is a civil case, so you must prove your case on the balance of probability. What that means is, you look at an imaginary scale, your side of the scale must be heavier, okay, for you to win. So that's it. Then it depends. For example, under the Electoral Act, to prove substantial non-compliance with the Electoral Act. But when you say there are irregularities in the election, there is no compliance with the Electoral Act, that's what we are saying by challenging an election. You must prove that that non-compliance is substantial enough, okay, to affect the total outcome of the result. If the irregularity you are claiming is so minute, so small, that even if we deducted that, the other party still won the election, then your case cannot succeed. You must prove that if they remove those irregularity, your vote is more than the opponent and you have won the election. So those are the parameters the courts look at, especially when it comes to electoral matters.
That just like you mentioned, that was done at the tribunal. But let's go out of that one. Now, talking about another case in point is that of Temepri Silva. In the case of Chief Temepri Silva of the APC bias, the Court of Appeal reversed the nullification of his candidacy on the ground that the High Court lacked the necessary local standing. Talking about jurisdiction now. Now, the same thing happened in Borno State, when Balami, the Midala Balami, his own case also was dismissed, of course, to his favor, citing lack of jurisdiction. Now, how fundamental is the issue of jurisdiction in a matter?
Well, jurisdiction is very, very important when it comes to both criminal and civil cases generally. We call it the life wire of adjudication by a court. Its jurisdiction, it means the power of a court to hear a case or sit or adjudicate on it. And there are different parameters for measuring that. First is that the justice who is going to hear the case is competent. If it's Court of Appeal or Supreme Court, the number of the justices that are supposed to be there, maybe 3 or 5 or 7 are there. Then apart from all of that, you have to look at the law. Every court has a law establishing them. And those laws give them the power as to what and what they cannot do in simple parlance. Then all laws in Nigeria usually vest a court with the power to interpret that law or to apply that law. Okay? So in certain instances, you will have to go to the High Court of a state in an election matter. Sometimes you may have to go to a federal high court. There are different parameters. For example, if you're going to be suing INEC and other parties to an election, and this is pre-election, you may have to go to federal high court. But if you're suing just an individual and you're not suing INEC, you may want to go to the state's high court. So there are different things to be considered. So when a lawyer is given a brief to file in court, you have to look at the laws, you look at the acts establishing that court to be sure which of the courts has jurisdiction. So you go to the appropriate. When you go to the wrong court, your case will be thrown out. So when it's thrown out, it doesn't mean the end of the road. You can go back to the court that has the jurisdiction to file the case. If you see after, if events are not overtaking, your case. So jurisdiction is fundamental, it's very important. Any court that gives a judgment without jurisdiction, that judgment is a nullity. It's going to be nullified because it doesn't have the power in the first place to even hear the case at all. So if you don't have the power to hear the case, then you can't give a judgment in it. Everything you have done is zero. Okay? So jurisdiction in jurisprudence is essential, is number one. You must first establish that the court has jurisdiction. And you can do this by going through the laws, checking your case laws, okay, to be sure that the particular court you are going to file this case has the jurisdiction to hear that case in the first place.
Now, you're talking about the jurisdiction. Sometimes I wonder, You know, because we've seen cases dismissed on the ground of the court lacks jurisdiction to hear the matter in the first instance. Now, these things happen over and over again, and I'm tempted to ask, is it that these lawyers that represent the petitioners don't know, or they pretend not to know about these jurisdictions and all of that?
Well, this is what I would say. Most of the time, this happens by mistake. Because when these cases are brought to lawyers in the chambers, the clients are always in a hurry. They want the case to be filed the next day or 2 days later. So the lawyers will work all through the night. Okay? So while rushing, they may go and file the case in the wrong court because they didn't have enough time to do their research and to check up. Because, I mean, jurisdiction is not a joke. And most of the time, I, for example, when I have a case, I read through to be sure which court has jurisdiction, and I consult senior colleagues, even learned citizens. I consult them. That has also case, this is a fact. Which court do you think has jurisdiction? I think it's also court that has jurisdiction. What do you think, sir? And they say, oh, yeah, that's the court that has jurisdiction. They say, oh, no, it's the other court that has jurisdiction. So you have to consult. But most of the time, lawyers are always in a hurry, especially in election matters. Because it's time bound, within which you are supposed to file your papers and all that. So instead of rushing, because of this speed, sometimes they make the mistake. It's not as if they don't know, lawyers don't know the law. They do. And sometimes too, you may think you know the law, and you will still be wrong. Because sometimes even SANS file courts in the wrong courts, file cases in the wrong courts, and they'll be told that the court has no jurisdiction. So it's a very tricky kind of thing, but I mean, you never can tell. But when you file your case and the court has no jurisdiction, for example, immediately a party raises the objection that the court does not have jurisdiction, you can withdraw your case and go and file it in the appropriate court that has jurisdiction if you think so. Or you can follow it through all the way to judgment. And when judgment is given that the court lacks jurisdiction, you can go to the court that has jurisdiction still. Okay, or you appeal. If you are not satisfied, you appeal against that. Okay. So that's how it works.
And sometimes they also dismiss a case based on technicalities.
Yes.
These are also issues. Okay, like you said, sometimes they're in a hurry and all of that. Are there no kind of penalties for that?
Well, because you see, there may be penalties for certain irregularities. Okay, for example, if you are filing some of your documents out of time in normal civil cases, you'll be fined for each day that you defaulted. But you see, election matters are sui generis. They're different. There are a special kind of cases that you must comply with all the rules. If you don't comply, your case is gone. You will have seen in the presidential judgment by the Supreme Court, they refused Alhaji Atiku Abubakar to bring additional evidence at the Supreme Court because the hearing of the case has closed already at the Court of Appeal. Supreme Court is not rehearing the case. The Court of Appeal has heard it. Supreme Court is only looking at what the Court of Appeal has done, whether they are right or wrong. So Alhaji Atiku Abubakar tried to bring in new evidence, and the court said no. The time limit for you to do all of this is 21 days. When you were filing your petition, you're supposed to come with your witness statement on oath and all the documents, all the evidence you want to use. You must attach it within that 21 days. If you don't, then you can't bring it in. So election matters are very technical because they are different. They are a different class of it. They are time bound. Even the judges have the time within which they should deliver the judgment. So everything you must do, you do it within that. That's why people are always in a hurry to file, because so that you can beat the deadline. So it's always an issue. It's always a problem. So technicality, generally in civil cases, can be fined. For example, if you have done something wrong or you're out of time and you want to bring in document, the court will grant you more time, but you pay for those days you have devoted. But in election petition matters, no, you must comply strictly with the rules. They are strict because they are sui generis.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now we are being joined via Zoom by the Benue State APC Chairman, Austin Agada. It's a pleasure to have you on Nigeria today.
Fine. Good afternoon. Good evening.
Now, the judgment that was just handed down in favor of the APC, candidates. Tell us, what's your reaction to these judgments? How do you see it?
Well, for us in Benue as a political party, it's a welcome development. We are happy because it's a reaffirmation of the will of the people. So the people are in a very lively mood. They are happy because they did not expect less than what they have gotten. So for us as a political party and the entire Benue people, they are happy because they feel that bringing up a new person into the system of the Senate was quite better for them. Emmanuel Udende have been a politician and someone that have represented his people in every capacity down to the House of Rep. But this was the first time the people felt that, look, if you have represented us well, then come over to the Senate against a man that was former governor of the state. So if you look at the votes cast in the last election by the entire people of Zone A, you realize that it was an overwhelming victory. In the 7 local government that makes up the senatorial zone, that's Zone A, why Suswan, who was the former governor, got through local government. So that is to tell you or to show you that the people of Zone A really wanted Udende to represent them and not what the tribunal. On that very day that the tribunal gave that judgment, with all due respect to them, it was like a sad one for the people of Benue, especially the Zone A people of Benue. But with this very decision of the appeal court, which is the final arbiter in this matter, I am telling you that it was just a reaffirmation of the people's will, and the people are very happy.
And looking at the judgment also, what do you think it spells for our democracy in Nigeria? We've been successfully, there's been transition from one administration to the other. What do you say of our democracy? It's your view on the future of our democracy?
Well, the truth about it is that the tribunal is a major component of what makes up democracy as far as every nation is concerned, where people go to ventilate their anger. And like you can see, like I said, for us, it was a welcome development because it is just a reaffirmation of the people's will. And the people are very, very happy. And with this kind of judgment, of course, it is something that gives hope to the common people and the ordinary people. Because one would expect that, considering the fact that Suswan was a former governor of the state, that it is expected that with his high connections and all of that, it would have gone in his favor. But if you look at the sound judgment, you look at the fact that, yes, they took their time to go into the merit of the case and not into technicalities, because what is the issue before them? That Udende was wrongly declared the winner, and that there were mutilations and what have you, and fortifications of results for INEC to declare him winner. And even while the tribunal was giving its judgment, the tribunal did not go into deep in searching for the tribunal. Just said they agree with what the petitioner has said, just a mere they say without bringing out details. And if you look at what the tribunal did, as at when they gave that judgment, they had even closed the 21 days that is the official listing of the petitioner. They had to now reawaken or reopen a case that had been closed. And the appeal court, dissatisfied with that decision, then they approached the appeal court, even in an interlocutory appeal, to say that no, that you cannot beat a dead horse. If you had closed this case, why resurrecting it for him to bring more witnesses? And the appeal court agreed with him and said that it is functions official. That means you cannot come over after closing a matter or finishing the strength of the matter, you come over again and reawaken it. That case, that judgment was not correct, or giving room after 21 days to now bring in more weaknesses was not correct. And if you also look at today's judgment in the appeal court, it signifies the fact that the judiciary is a hope for the common man, because what they are saying is that, look,
well, looks like we lost him there. Well, this is still Nigeria Today. We'll hit the street now and hear the voice of the people on the recent appeal court judgment. Don't go away.
Yes, it's a game of luck. You win or you lose. So once they've given their judgment, there's nothing more. You won't fight the appeal court. And they may not live up to the expectation of Nigeria, because every party, they have some win, some lose. So we can't even say that this judgment is favoring one particular party or the other, because there are some places that APC lose. Originally they won, and at the end of the day they sack APC to install the PDP. So we'll say they are biased. It's a judgment, and I believe that they must have gone through the process properly before giving their judgment.
Act of incompetence, because I believe before you swear in, that's when you should have done your investigation in one place or the other to know if he actually won the election. Not after he's now in power, then now start dragging the case one after the other. So that's what I feel should be done before even swearing in. Because what's the extent of giving someone power and taking it back? It doesn't befit. It sounds incompetence enough. It doesn't befit Nigeria's status as a whole, and it doesn't portray us well outside the country. It doesn't portray us well at all. So that's why I feel they should work on. Before the swearing in, it's not immediately after the election they swear in. At least 1-2 months before, after election. That's when the swearing in comes on. So within that month, you need to do a thorough investigation on how the election goes through. We all know Nigeria does not have a free and fair election, quite alright. But within that 1-2 months, do a thorough election on how the election went through. Before you do a thorough investigation on how the election went through before you swear in the governor. That's what I feel should happen. Because once they swear in the governor, taking the power shows you guys are incompetence.
Welcome back. This is still Nigeria Today, and we're looking at the recent appeal court judgments on the 2023 election. And of course, my guests are still with me, one via Zoom, and of course, a gentleman in the studio. That you had the reaction of that gentleman there.
Yes.
I'm kind of interested. How possible is it for us to have, he raised some issues. We have the, whatever, go to court before the swearing in. What do you say to that?
Well, we wish that can happen, but we have to follow the law. It is what our law says that we'll follow. The law says, after the election, swearing comes in about 2 or 3 months afterwards. Then the election, the president is given his certificate of return and is sworn in, because there can be vacancy. A president's tenure terminates on the May 29th, right? So the president must vacate office. So the new president must be sworn in. There can be a vacuum. So when it's sworn in, you have your time to go to court. Within 2-3 months, you go to court all the way to the Supreme Court. And if the Supreme Court decides that the president did not win, then he will leave the office and somebody will be declared a winner, right? But if the Supreme Court says he's a winner, then he continues his term. So that is how our democracy has been structured. That's what our law says.
Thank you very much. Now, Austin, you also had the reaction of the people there. What is your take on some of the comments they made there?
Yes, like the first speaker said, that you win some and you lose some. Those are the things that ingredients that deepen democracy. You cannot just have it all true. And of course, I agree that there's nothing wrong if the Judicial or the Electoral Act is looked upon, and we'll find a way whereby this judgment can't be finished before swearing in and all of that. So those are good suggestions, and I believe that we'll get there. We'll get there. If you see where we are in 1999, we have really departed from, and we are making progress, to where we are.
Thank you very much. We are making progress. We'll get there. And that's it on Nigeria Today. Very big thank you to my guest. I have Dr. Sijuade Kayode, a legal practitioner. Thank you so much for making it and sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you very much.
And also thank you to the Benue State APC Chairman, Austin Agada. And also a very big congratulations to you on your victory at the court. Thank you. Thank you for coming. And that's it on Nigeria Today. Don't forget, Nigeria Today airs weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also watch this and other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. Once again, thank you for being there. I'm Eukaria Clinton. See you tomorrow.